All right, today we're going to be looking at finding simple probability. Probabilities. Find the probability of an event A. We're going to look for the number of ways that event A can occur, and we're going to put that over all the possible ways something can happen. So the probability of an event will occur is somewhere between 0 and 1. Now, the probability that an event is certain to happen means it'll happen no matter what. That will be equal to 1. You'll also see this as 100%. Now, the probability that something will never happen means that no matter what you do, it'll never happen. Our probability will be equal to 0. It cannot happen. So let's look at some examples of how these things go together here. So my first one here says a standard die has 6 sides. Find the probability of each happening. We will find the probability of tossing a 5. For this, my denominator is going to be 6 because there are 6 sides, and they even tell us that right here in case we forgot. And then the probability of tossing a 5, how many 5s are on the number cube? 1. We have 1 5 on the number cube. So the probability of tossing a 5 is 1 out of 6. Looking at our next one right here, it says tossing an even number. Well, again, my denominator is going to be 6, and even numbers, well, the even numbers on there would be 2, 4, and 6, so that would be 3 out of 6, but we have to remember to always reduce our fractions. So the final answer for this one would be 1/2. Always reduce your fractions. So looking at the third one here, it says tossing a number greater than 4. So again, my denominator starts off, there's going to be 6 in the bottom. Numbers that are greater than 4 would be 5 and 6, so therefore it would be 2 out of 6. Again, I have to reduce. I'm going to divide the top and bottom by 2. So therefore, I would have 1 over 3. And the last one says tossing a 5 or less. Keyword here, or, that means we can have the 5 and everything below it. So there are 5 numbers there, so that would be 5 out of 6. And nothing to reduce there. Looking at example 2. Example 2 says a standard quarter is tossed into the air. Now find each probability. Well, in standard quarter, you can either have heads or you can have tails. That's our only choices that we have. So there's only 2 choices. So my denominator is going to be 2. Probability of it being heads, well, there's only one good probability there. 1 out of 2. Problem number 2 says the probability of being tails. Well, it's the same as it is of being heads. It's not going to change. It's still going to be 1 out of 2. Now question number 3 says it could be heads or it could be tails. So that would be 2 out of 2, which would be 1. It means it's going to be certain. No matter what we do, we're going to get heads or we're going to get tails. For the third one, it says probability of heads and tails. That means both of those have to come up. And there is no way that can happen, so that would be 0 out of 2, which is just 0. It's impossible. It cannot happen. Now in example 3, it says Sally flipped a coin 20 times. It came up heads 12 times. Based on the results, how many times should Sally expect the coin to come up heads in the next 500 flips? This is an example of experimental probability. So in my experiment, I got 12 out of 20. So if I take and reduce this thing, it would become, we'll divide the top and bottom by 4. 3 out of 5. And I would then say, hey, I need to get that to 500, so I'm going to multiply by 100 So I would expect it to come up 300 times based on my experiment of flipping the coin 20 times. Now if I just looked at the probability, I would expect it for the probability of landing on heads, that one would be 1/2, which would be 250 times. This is what should happen, or our theoretical probability. This is what's based on the experiment. This is my experiment. This one is for theoretical of what should happen. Looking at example 4. Example 4 says use the spinner at the right to answer our questions, and write your answers as a percent. Okay, so first off, I want to count how many sections do I have here. Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sections. You need to always make sure that when you have a spinner that all the sections are also equal or evenly spaced. So there are 8 of them. So to start with, I know that 8 is going to be my denominator. And I look on here, it says the probability of getting a 1. Well, there are 2 places that has a 1. This one and this one. So that would be 2 over 8, which reduces to 1 over 4. And we convert that to a percent, which is 25%. For my next one, again, I have 8 on the bottom. I'm looking for a 2. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of them are 2s, which is 1/2 or 50%. For the third one, I need the probability of 3. Probability of 3, there are 2 of them out of 8, which is the same as number 1 was, 1 out of 4 or 25%. For the fourth one, it says the probability of getting a 4. So that means I have to have the number 4. Looking at my spinner, there is not a 4 located there, so that would be 0 over 8 or a 0% chance. For problem number 5, the probability of 1 or 2. So that means there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 over 8. Which reduces to 3/4, which becomes 75%. For number 6, it needs probability of 1, 2, or 3. Well, that's the only things that are on my spinner, so that would be 8 out of 8, which is 100%. Means it will happen no matter what. For problem number 7, oh, new word here. We have not talked about not. Means everything but 3. Everything but 3 means it's going to be a 1 or a 2, which is the same as problem number 5, which is 6 over 8, reduces to 3/4, and 75%. For number 8, it says not 1. That means it can be a 2 or a 3. Not 1 goes along with problem number 1. So it was 2 over 8 for problem number 1, so that means there are 6 out of 8 that are not 1. Which is 3/4 or 75%. In example 5, here it tells you are watching Channel 3 News, and you hear Bob French say, there is a 30% chance of rain today. 30% chance of rain. We're looking for what is the probability that it will not rain. Okay? Well, we know we have to have 30% plus what number is equal to 100%, because everything altogether has to equal 100%, our whole amount. 30 plus what number equals 100? So that would be 70%. Simple probability. Make sure you always reduce your fractions. Pay attention if they want your answers put into decimals or put into percentages. Good luck.